Okay, good evening. We're up to the final daf of the Perek HaMoicher Sabayis. Right? Again, if you would have brought something dove, you ask questions, you bring. Anyway, so the last Mishnah, again, we're discussing, the Mishnah is always discussing their various sales. We sell a bias, you sell a chatzah, you sell a beis abad, you sell whatever you're selling, what's included, what's not included. In the last Mishnah, we said if you sell a field, not included in the sale was the bar vidus. And and we had machlokas in Rabbi Akiva and the Chachamim whether when you go ahead and buy, do you sell the ayin yafa, and therefore you'd have to buy a derech because you sold it, and conversely, if you went ahead and you left over two, you would leave over for yourself as well, because if you went ahead and if you sold it to somebody else, you wouldn't have to, the other person would not have to buy because you sold it to him. This whole parak was predicated upon mechira. We said, however, if you give a matana, everything's included. Everything, even the things that were not included, the bar, the dus, the shayvach, the gas, all these things that weren't included would be included. Including what? Including the trees, including those trees. Those trees would be included, even though the trees were considered a sada by themselves. Now, what about a magdish? So now, is a magdish like a mocher, the ayin ra, if you hold like ayin yaf or ayin ra, or is the mocher, or is the magdish is like what? Is like nice matana. So if you magdish in ganzen hearts and the whole thing, well, no, it's like mocher and it's ayin ra, and you leave out certain things. So that seems to be a machlokes between the Chachamim and the Rabbi Shimon. The Chachamim said that if you magdish everything, including the bar, the dus, and the trees, said Rav Shimon, a very, very strange shita, the bar and the dus are not, you're not magdish. But you know what you magdish? You magdish the trees. You magdish those trees. Those trees, meaning, of course, the regular trees are kodesh. We're talking about the sycamore trees and the carob trees, which are usually considered a sadav ifnei atzmo. If you're magdish, that's included. So he made a chilik between bar vidus that's not included, and trees that are included. Good. That's chilik that he made. The Gemara had a kasha. The Gemara then brought in Rav Huna. Rav Huna said a shita. This is the key to the sugya. That if a person sells a field but leaves over two trees for himself, he leaves over trees for himself, then he retains the karka as well. And even Rabbi Akiva, who would normally say a person, when he sells something, he sells ba'ayin yafa. So if he's selling his whole field, he should not leave over karka by his trees because he's selling the ganze thing, right? He said over there's a svara, since the trees are going to go ahead and be mafriya, the buyer, the one who buys it, because when they die, they're going to take nutrients and it's going to make it hard to plow. So therefore, for security purposes, for insurance, that the guy lets them go ahead and replant the trees if they break down, even Rabbi Akiva would be maida that was the shita of Rav Huna. So again, says Rav Huna, if a person goes ahead and and sells a field but leaves over the trees, you get the karka, and even Rabbi Yehuda would be maida. To that. Okay, that was the shita of Rav Huna. We asked the kasha on Rav Huna from our Mishnah from Rav Shimon. We asked from Rav Shimon. What did Rav Shimon say? A person's magdish his field, so nothing's included. The tree, what's in the karka is included. The bar vidus is not included, meaning the ancillary things. However, the sikma, and the carob tree, which are normally similar to the bar vidus, they would be included. Why? Because since you magdish the karka, since you magdish the field, and the karka is kodesh, the trees are being yoinik from the karka. So therefore, gedule karka hegdish is kehegdish, and therefore the trees are different. That was the shita. But if you hold like Rav Huna, that when if you're holding mechira and hegdish are the same thing, which obviously Rav Shimon is holding, right? Guys, Rav Shimon has to hold it's the same thing. Guys, here's the knech. Rav Shimon says it can't be nice in matana, because Rav Shimon says you don't get the bar v'shayvach. You're not the person that the hegdish is not getting the bar v'shayvach, right? Why? Because it's like mechira. So just like mechira, if you sell a field, you wouldn't get the bar in the shayvich. So too, if you're magdish, you don't get the bar in the shayvich. So obviously, but if you give it to matana, you would get it. So obviously, Rav Shimon is comparing it to what? To mechira rather than nois and matana. Good. So that if that's the case, why in the world would he get? Why would Hegdish get the trees? These two special trees, they're the same as a bar v'shayvich. And the answer is because you will magdish the karka. And once the karka has a din Hegdish, the trees get it as well. But one second. What did Rav Huna say? Rav Huna said if you go ahead and you sell everything except trees, then what? Then the karka is not. But you see, Rav Shimon, the karka is. That's the kasha on. That's the kasha of Shimon on Rav Huna. What do you answer? Rav Shimon holds like Rabbi Akiva. Mm-hmm. Rav Shimon holds like Akiva that a person is magdish, right? He's meiche b'ayin yafa. So he's magdish b'ayin yafa. Now the magdish yafa would not help for the bar of the shayvach for dos, but when you go ahead regarding the trees, you're going to go ahead and sell the karka as well. It would help for the karka. And Mamela, who did Rav Huna say is then according to the Rabbanan? So the Rabbanan holds that a person sells. He sells b'ayin ra. And therefore, he leaves karka for himself. He doesn't sell to somebody else. So say Rav Huna says it then. If a person sells his field, but he leaves over trees, like the Chachamim, he's going to leave over karka for himself. That's where we left off. The Gemara asked one question. L'chayra, what's the chiddush then? What's the chiddush? Like the Rabbanim, what's the chiddush? If he holds like the Rabbanim, it's fine and run. The chiddush was that it helped that he would be able to replace the trees if they died. If you go ahead and make a sale, even though you retained a derech to the bar v'dus, if the bar v'dus falls in, you lose the derech. The chiddush over here, Rav Huna, is that your magdish, you would not go ahead, you would not lose the rights to go ahead and replant the tree. Okay, so again, the answer to Rav Huna was the kasha from Rav Shimon. Rav Shimon holds like Rav Akiva, and Rav Huna holds like the Chachamim. We're going to spend now an Amid proving one thing, that Rav Shimon does not agree with Rabbi Akiva, his Rebbe. Rabbi Akiva, the Gemara said in Yevamis, he had 5 Talmid, they all died. 5 Talmid, then we had Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Nechemia. It's the first time I think I got them all right. He had these Talmidim. And so Rav Shimon Bar Yochai was a Talmud. So the Talmud argument is Rebbe. Rabbi Akiva said a person is Magdish, or certainly magdish. If you're moiche b'ayin yafa, if you sell, certainly you're magdish b'ayin yafa. And Rav Shimon said no. Rav Shimon said Rav Shimon's going to disagree. But again, it's a brisa, and we're going to see from the brisa that he doesn't hold like Rabbi Akiva. So guys, at the end of this amid, all you have to know is that he can't hold like Rabbi Akiva. And if he can't hold like Rabbi Akiva, hadra kasha l'duchte on Rav Huna, right? Okay, if it doesn't look like Rabbi Akiva, we're going to end up with the same question. How in the world can Rabbi Huna say that the karka doesn't belong to him? Then why in the world would Rav Shimon go ahead and say it's kodesh? How can it be kodesh? Only kodesh if the karka is kodesh. Good. That's okay. So now to understand, let's guys in a sale, there's a special halacha of a stei achuza. If a person goes ahead, if you buy a field, if you buy a field and you sell it, if a person sells a field, a person goes ahead and redeems it. He redeems it from Hegdish. If stay mikna, he pays the value of the field. If a person is a magdish, his stay achuza, there's a special compilation that for every zerach that you can plant, zerach chaimish, you can plant a chaimish of tfuah, it's 50 over a 49-year period. So it comes out to 1 shekel and 1 pudyin each for each area. In other words, you would go ahead and that's a prorated. If it's year 1, then it's 49, and it goes down, and whatever's left over. So all we have to know, stay achuza special formula. That's what I'm going to say. Stay achuza special formula. Good. Now again, it's going to be a long-winded amid, and from the amid at the end of the amid, one thing that Rav Shimon does not agree with Rabbi Akiva. Good, and we'll point it out. Read the Gemara. Umimatzis mukvisla l'Rav Shimon Rabbi Akiva. How is it possible to say that Rav Shimon holds like Rabbi Akiva, but Hatanya, we have a brisa. I am based on Amid Aleph Mendi, 2 lines from the top. I am based on Amid Aleph, 2 lines from the top. Hatanya, Higdish Shloisha Ilonais Mimata Asara Lebeisa. Now, usually, you have 10 trees, guys. We had this in Layachpar. 10 trees would be an area of 2,500 amas. So these are saplings. So if 10 saplings are in 2,500, one sapling is in 250. Right? Amas, square amas. And you magdish the karka. What happens? The karka and the ilonos are all Hari higdish es hakarka. The karka is kodesh. So now, fellas, it all becomes one piece of land, meaning the trees will be treated with the same formula of the steachuza. Lefikach keshu poida, when you poida beizera chaymes ayrim b'chamisha shekel kesef. You're going to use that special formula even on the trees, guys. We're going to, guys, you view it as one field. That's the din, that these trees are considered one field. Pachas mikan, if it's less land, or yoisa alkain, or more than that, or you magdish the trees one after each other. The karka and would not be kodesh, and not the elona shebenehem, meaning wouldn't be kodesh. You're not magdish. The karka is not kodesh, and the elona is not kodesh. That are between them. Only the elonis themselves, the big trees, are kodesh. The ones that is magdish. So again, if he's magdish a larger area than 10 trees, more than 25,000, one tree more than 250 for each one, or less than that, or he's magdish trees. He's magdish trees. So he's magdish he's not magdish the karka. He's not magdish the small trees, the saplings, but he's magdish the ilonis. That's the lashon. Harizilei higdish leya karka, leya ilonis, the small trees. Shebeneim. The fikach. Therefore, since they're not kodesh, it's only the land that's kodesh. Kishu poida ilonis b'shaveyim. The trees that it was magdish goes according to what their true value. Okay. So in other words, guys, all we have to know is that in this situation, it doesn't have the din of a field, because the karka is not kodesh at all, the only trees, and therefore, once it's only trees, you don't have the special formula, you simply have its value. So, if it has a din of steachuza, meaning the trees on the are in that configuration of 1 to 250, then we say it's one field and it's one entity, and therefore the trees would also go into the cheshbon of the special formula. But if, however, you magdish the trees separately, then the karka is not kodesh. Only the trees are kodesh, the big trees. The small trees are not kodesh. And therefore, when you pay, you have to pay according to the value. That's what we saw so far. Okay? For loy oid, and not only that, ela afilu higdish esei lonois, if he's magdish the trees, the chaz of higdish is a karka, and then now everything's kodesh, not just the trees. Kishu paida, when he's paida esei lonois b'shaveihem, he's paida the trees according to the value. Now, this is a chiddush, guys. This is a chiddush. What's the chiddush? Because now both are kodesh. The trees are kodesh and the land's kodesh. But the trees are not going after the special formula because it didn't take place at the same time. Because it didn't take place at the same time. Okay? Okay, so now what do we have? Right now, guys, let's get the information down, and we're going to go ahead and show somehow that Rabbi Akiva and Rav Shimon don't agree. We have the special halacha being magdish te'achusa, that you go after special formula. So if you have the trees in a certain configuration where they're considered one field, they would go after that configuration. If you don't have that configuration, then the trees will be kodesh separately, and the trees will be kodesh separately, and the land be kodesh separately. If you magdish just trees, then you only go after the trees. If you magdish just trees, you only go after the trees. Okay, that's what we saw so far. Now the Gemara wants to know money. Who's the Tana of this brisa, guys? Guys, we're going to show that the Tana of this brisa is Rabbi Shimon, and he disagrees with Rabbi Akiva. Money. Who's the Tana of this brisa? Rabbi Akiva. If you're going to tell me it's Rabbi Akiva, so therefore, if he's moiche b'ayin yafa, he's magdish b'ayin yafa, and therefore, if he's magdish two trees, vada is magdish the karka between them. Right? But we said, guys, if you magdish trees, you don't get the karka, right? Correct? If you magdish just trees, Guys, what did it say? You magdish trees. What's the din? The karka is not kodesh, and the trees are. But like Rabbi Akiva, the karka also has to be kodesh, because if you would sell trees, you would sell the land also. And kol shekain, if you magdish trees, you magdish the land. Guys, you hear? Again, the clause in the brisa that said. There's a clause in the brisa that said if you magdish trees, the karka is not kodesh, and you just have to be pointed to the trees. Like Rabbi Akiva, you'd have to be pointed to the karka too. So it can't be Rabbi Akiva. And guys, that's the knech. It's going to be Rav Shimon. So you're going to see Rav Shimon doesn't like Rabbi Akiva. Okay? I'm surprised you guys didn't ask this kasha. Didn't quote this Gemara in Erechim and ask this kasha. Shocked. You thought about it. You don't want to show off, right? Okay? So I just fed you the answer. I fed it to you. So now, Geshmak. It can't be Rabbi Akiva. Why? Because Rabbi Akiva says if you magdish trees, the land's kodesh. And here we said the land is not kodesh. The Rabbanon who hold that a person, right, when he's Rabbanon who says when you sell ba'ayin ra, right? It says Moicha hu da ba'ayin ra moicher, aval magdish ba'ayin yafa magdish, and therefore he would be moida to, again in the Mishnah, guys. If you magdish your field, what's the din? Everything's kodesh. Everything, even the bar and everything, correct? Mm-hmm. So over here, if I magdish 2 trees, what should it then be? The land, right? So, guys, we have a problem. We need one clause, fellas. Eye contact. One clause we need. If you magdish the trees, the land's not kodesh. Like Rabbi Akiva, who holds even mechira is ayin yafa, certainly hegdish is ayin yafa. If the Rabbanon, they only hold ayin ra by where? By mechira, but by hegdish they hold ayin yafa. So how can the land not be kodesh? So that one clause is the insight that this brisa can't be Rabbanon and can't be Rabbi Akiva. Okay, let's go back to our Mishnah. Is there anyone in the Mishnah who says that your magdish is ba'ayin ra? Reb Shimon. He's the one who said that the only thing, right? You're gonna have a kasha on this also, because he'll ask the kasha in a second. Okay, so therefore it can't be what the Chachamim. It can't be Rabbi Akiva. El Pshita Reb Shimon who said in our Mishnah that hegdish is like mechira, that when you sell ba'ayin ra. Reb Shimon ali b'deman. Who now? Reb Shimon, he was a Talmud of Rabbi Akiva, correct? Did he say like his Rabbi or not? Rabbi Akiva. So the Gemara wants to know Rash Pamlins. Reb Shimon ali b'deman. Ali with Rabbi Akiva, his Rabbi. Ha'ama moiche ba'ayin yafa moiche v'kol shkein magdish. El pshita ali b'derabbanon. He said a person sells ba'ayin yafa is the rabbanon. Because of Rav Shimon is of the opinion, the moicher ba'ayin ra moicher magdish nami ba'ayin ra magdish umishaya ara, and therefore the land's left over, and only the trees are kodesh. Okay, outside guys. Again, the whole purpose of this Amid was what? To prove that Rav Shimon does not agree with Rabbi Akiva. How do we prove it? From one case. Here's the case. This is what you're going to know. If a person is magdish 2 trees, the land's not kodesh. How do you know? Because when you only paid in the trees according to their value. You're not being kodesh the land. Good, because the land's not kodesh. Like Rabbi Akiva is the land kodesh? Yes. Like the Rabbanon is the year kodesh? Yes. Like Rav Shimon? No. Like Rav Shimon, the land is, because he holds that what? He holds it's like a sale. And a sale, these trees would not be part of the sale. The mela, the karka is not part of the sale, and therefore you only paid it. Now, so we have a kasha now. What's that kasha? So going back, what did Rav Huna say? Because it's a cheshbon. Rav Huna said, even Rabbi Akiva is maida. We disproved that everyone that what? If you go ahead and you sell land and you leave yourself over 2 trees, you leave over the karka as well. Right? But second, the Gemara, I like Rav Shimon's kodesh. You see the fact that the 2 trees, the sycamore trees, kodesh means you don't leave over the karka. What's the answer? The answer is that he holds like Rabbi Akiva. The Gemara, how can he hold like Rabbi Akiva? You just proved he doesn't like Rabbi Akiva. So we're back to the kasha and Rav Huna. Yeah. Okay, guys, you good? Let me add another question. So now, what's Pshat in our Mishnah? Why are the sycamore trees kodesh? Because the field's kodesh. Who said that? Rav Shimon. If you told me Rav Shimon holds that a person Hegdish is like Moicha, that's Ba'ayin Ra, how in the world could the trees be Kodesh? In other words, you asked the Kashan of Huna, but based upon this price that we just had, we have a steer in Rav Shimon. Guys, listen. You're telling me from this brisa that Rav Shimon's the one who holds that a person who's Magdish is Magdish Ba'ayin Ra, so therefore the karka is not Kodesh. But he said in the Mishnah that the trees are Kodesh. Why are those trees Kodesh? Only because the karka is Kodesh. So good, you had a Kashan of Huna, but you have a Kashan of Shimon, Mineu Bey. Geschmack. Oh, guys, you have the Cheshbon? It's one of those days. I understand. Guys, how we doing? You good? Okay, May, you good? May, good. It's geschmack. Once you keep the Cheshbon, it's very good. Okay. Well, how's the Gemara answer? Here's how guys, listen outside. Let's do it outside first. The Gemara is going to answer. Right now, we thought Rav Shimon holds that this kind of quasi, well, the land is Kodesh, but the Bar of Shayvach is not Kodesh, right? Right? We're going to change that. Rav Shimon was speaking to the Chachamim. You know what the Chachamim said? If you Magdish everything. If you Magdish everything. Rav Shimon holds if you Magdish nothing. Rav Shimon holds if you Magdish nothing. Why? Because like this brisa, it's Ba'ayin Ra. Aye, so what did he mean that the trees are Kodesh? Like you, the Chachamim, who hold that everything is Kodesh, right? I understand why the trees are Kodesh, because since the land is Kodesh, the trees are Kodesh. But why is the bar and the Shayvach Kodesh? That's so, and therefore it's Geschmack. So Einachinami. He's Rav Shimon is not a shita. It's not a shita. He's going according to the shita Chachamim. Right. Okay. So let's see inside. So says the Gemara. So now we're holding by two kashas. The Gemara says Ve'ela kasha. So you have a kasha in Rafuna. Ve'ela kasha. Hoyel v'yenuka b'soda hegdish. Let's see the top rashbam, guys. Top line. Behind the kaparich. Ve'ela kasha. Hoyel v'yonkim. Since the sycamore tree goes ahead and it's yonik from hegdish, it's kamoy ul'taimech. Like Gemara usually says, and according to your reasoning, Adamakshi Rav Huna, Tikshi the Rav Shimon, Ad Rav Shimon. When you're asking Rav Huna, we have a steer in Rav Shimon himself. The Hacha Shamin Alei, over here where he's Magdish the trees, and only the trees, we hear that what? That it's Ba'ayin Ra Magdish, because you don't have to be pointed to the Karka. Well, El Ka'amar Hoyel V'Yonkim, the Mashma HaKol Higdish, Ba'ayin Yafa, V'Leishayr Karka L'Charav Shloi, and he wasn't Mishayr the Charav. So you have a stira in that. On that, the Gemara answers, El Rav Shimon L'Dvei and Rabbanan Kamalahu. Rav Shimon's going to the words of the Chachamim. Lididi, according to me, Ki Heicha the Moicha Ba'ayin Ra Moicha, just like the Moicha, he's Moicha Ba'ayin Ra, just like a Moicha is Moicha Ba'ayin Ra. Magdish Nami Ba'ayin Ra Magdish. If you Magdish Ba'ayin Ra, B'Shiyuri Mishaya, right? And you leave over, and therefore what? There's not the trees aren't Kodesh, and it makes sense. And therefore the Sod and Shikmar are also not Kodesh. And therefore the Bar V'dus is not Kodesh. But Liditchu, Oidela Miha, Higdish Elacharuv, Hamurkiv, V'Sadana Shikma. You should be minded to me that the only thing that's Kodesh is what? Is the Chruv and the Sadana Shikma. But not the Bar, not the Shoivach. Fellas, you know what Rav Shimon held? You know what Rav Shimon held? Guys, look at me. Please look at me. Rav Shimon had the following. When he spoke to the Chachamim, when the Chachamim said it's Hegdish, he didn't think they equated it with Matana. He said they kept their Shita of Moicha Ba'ayin Ra. So if they're keeping the Shita Moicha Ba'ayin Ra, I can understand why the trees are Kodesh. Why? Because first you will Magdish the ground. But I don't understand if you're Moicha Ba'ayin Ra, why the Shoivich and the Bora Kodesh. And they said it is. So that's what he's timing. I say that what? Nothing's Kodesh. Not even the Bor, not even the trees. You know why? Because, and therefore, when you magdish the brisa, you magdish the trees, the only thing you have to be paid is the trees. The only thing you have to be paid is the trees, right? That's it. But you, who say everything's kaidish, I don't understand that. You hold if a person sells something, it's Ba'ayin Ra. So if you magdish, it's also Ba'ayin Ra. So, therefore, why do you hold everything's kaidish? Trees I can understand, because the karta is kaidish. I don't understand the bar v'shayv v'gas. And you know what the answer is? The Chum say we don't hold like some mechira at all. We hold this like it's a matana. When you give him matana, it's everything. So that was where Rav Shimon made a mistake. Thinking the Chacham held it was mechira, it wasn't mechira. He gave it as a matana. Says let's finish inside. So that's what he said. That's me. So nothing's in the ballpark, period. But according to you, the Chachamim, who hold Moiche ba'ayin ra, oidel amiyah leihigdish ele charuv akruv amurke v'sadan hashik, because the ground's kodesh, but the bar and the shavich and the gas and not. Emilei rabbanan leishna, right? The rabbanan say there's no difference. You know why there's no difference, guys? Because it's a matana. There's no difference because why? It's a matana. Okay, so now with cheshbon, so now there's no kasha, right? Now let's figure it out. Everything is good. Even Rabbi Akiva could agree with Rav Huna. What did Rav Huna say? Rav Huna said that what? Why couldn't Rabbi Akiva agree with Rav Huna? Because Rabbi Akiva was holding like Rav Shimon. But now you're telling me Rabbi Akiva doesn't agree with Rav Shimon. Rav Huna could be correct that even Rabbi Akiva who holds, a person sells, when he sells something, he's buying yafa. So if you'd sell the whole property and leave over 2 trees, Mistama, he sold his karka too. No, he could agree that what? That even Rabbi Akiva would agree you left over the karka because it'll be a nuisance to the guy and it'll throw you off. It'll be oikarit. So therefore, Rav Huna's held serve. Even we're restoring the original Havamina that what? That Rabbi Akiva could agree with Rav Huna, and I think everything's good. If you followed, you're good? I think so. You'll listen to the recording again. Maybe it'll make a little more sense. Answer stira, it's very geschmack. There is no stira. Rav Shimon Taka holds Yehuda that Moicha ba'ayin ra, Magdash ba'ayin ra completely. Meaning, even the trees are not kodesh. In Gansim, in the Mishnah, it's mashma they were kodesh. He was saying according to Yudah Chachamim. According to Yudah Chachamim, who hold that what? That Moicha is ba'ayin ra, and your Magdish also should be ayin ra. So you're telling me everything's kodesh? I don't understand that. I understand why Yudah Chachamim hold the trees are kodesh. Because of the ground. I don't understand why the bor v'dus and the gas and the shayvach are. That's what I don't understand. And now the Chacham retorted, is nothing to do. We don't hold Magdashas like Mechira. We hold Magdashas like Maisa Matana. Maisa Matana, you get everything. So there's no steer of Shimon. Rav Shimon Taka is consistent. He holds Ba'ayin Ra. The steer in the Mishnah is the way we initially thought Pshat in the Mishnah. That Rav Shimon thought that trees are Kodesh. No, Yehuda, trees are not Kodesh. Why? Because a person is Magdish, he's Magdish b'moicha ra, the same thing. So totally, yeah. He answered the steer of Shimon, he answered Rav Huna. I think all loose ends are tied up. Okay, let's now the Gemara is just fearing goes like that. The Gemara gets a little easier. Okay, says the Gemara. The part of the Brisa, the loy oid. Okay, so. So if we know a person's magdish a state, now the difference between hegdish of a stay mikna and a stay achusa. Magdish is a field that you bought, it goes according to value. Magdish stay achusa, the opinion is that special formula of the Zerach of 50. Okay? So now, with that in mind, let's begin. It says Veloy Oid, Elafilu Higdish es Ilanois. Let's say Rabbi Shimon says you were magdish the trees. I skipped. What? But Mayu Kim to law Reb Shimon. Okay, that's not the Brisa like Reb Shimon. Guys, which case? Guys, which case where the person was magdish only the trees? Good. Now, what was the second part of the Brisa? It says V'loy oid elafilu higdish es eilanos v'choyze v'higdish es akarka. Now you added it. You now everything's kodesh. Had you did it simultaneously, you would have had the special formula, but you didn't do it simultaneously. You did one after the other. Then kishu paida seilanis b'shavecha v'chayzu paidas beizerachem esayim b'chamishim shekel kesef. Good, guys. Second part. The Reb Shimon lezel basa pidyon v'nifuk agavarayu. You should go after the b'shas pidyon, not b'shas hegdish. Guys, look at me outside. Why, guys, outside? Why, when he was magdish his trees and then magdish the field, why don't we consider it the special formula? Because we're going after shas hegdish. And since Hegdish of the trees, the Karka wasn't Kaidish, you're not going to go after the special formula. But what happens if you go after the time of Pidyon? So the time you get around being Paida, they're both in the ballpark, correct? If they're both in the ballpark, you should have the special formula, yes? Oh, we're going to prove Rav Shimon goes after Shas Pidyon. And that's going to be the Kasha. So we know the ratio is Rav Shimon because it's not the Chachamim, not Rabbi Akiva, because both would hold that the Karka is Kodesh, not just the trees. So therefore we say it's not like Rav Shimon. Now we're going to prove that the Seif is not Rav Shimon, because Rav Shimon goes after Pidyon, and over here, clearly you're going after the Shas Hegdish, not Shas Pidyon. Says the Gemara inside. V Rav Shimon, Lezel Basa Pidyon. The Nifrik Agavarayu, you should go after Pidyon, and the tree should be redeemed based upon the land, meaning the special formula. The Shamina Leila Rav Shimon, the Asal Basa Pidyon. We hear that Rav Shimon goes after Pidyon. The Tanya. Minayin Lulakeach Sadami Aviv. He bought a field from his father. Now, this field, if his father died, would be his Steachuza, correct? Mm-hmm. But he bought it. The Higdisha. And he was Magdashid after he bought it from his father. So if you redeem it, what would you have to pay, guys? Value. Straight up. Straight up. Guys, you hear? He bought the field from his father. He was Magdashid. If he redeem it, he'd have to go ahead and be paid it for value, not special formula. The Achakach Mes Aviv. Now his father died. And this field now, so he was Magdashid when it was a stay mikna, but now it's a stay achuza. His father died. He inherits the field. So if you go after the Shas Hegdish, then what? Then you're right. It's a stay mikna. Now, what happens if you go after the Shas Pidyon? It's a stay achuza. Who's going to go after Shas Pidyon? Rav Shimon. Minayin shtei lefon of kestei achuza. How do you know, even though he was magdash when he bought it, but now when he comes to redeem it, how do you know he's going to special formula? Tamar loymar ve'im estei miknaso asher lo mistei achuza so. What does that mean? And if it's a stay mikna, that's not a stay achuza. It seems redundant, right? When's the din of going ahead of stay mikna? That's only by a field that's not roy to be a stay achuza. Yatzis would exclude this field. Stay achuza. It doesn't have a stay mikna. Why? Because in the future it could be stay achuza. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda Reb Shimon. These are the words of Rabbi Yehuda Reb Shimon. Guys, here's your kasha. Here's your kasha. Even though when you were magdash it was a stay mikna, which usually go after the value, by the time it came around for pidyon, it was a stay achuza. Said Reb Shimon, you magdash it, you redeem it on the special formula. So what do you see? It goes after shas pidyon. So therefore, it's shver the seifa that if we should go after shas pidyon, the tree should also be agav va'ara. That's the kasha. Reb Meir says, how do you know if you buy a field from your father, umeis aviv, and your father dies, v'akach higdish, and afterwards you're magdash it? So this is not such a chiddush. You're being magdash it after your father dies. Minayin shtei b'lefon v'kastei achuza. Tamar loymar v'mestei mikdasa shalom mestei achuza. It's the same pasuk. Even though you bought it, since you were magdash it afterwards, so Rabbi would disagree. Rabbi would say in the first case, since when you were magdash it, your father was alive, it's not a stei achuza. V'yilu Rabbi Yehuda Reb Shimon. Skip the next line. In other words, guys, why did we take the bigger chiddush? The bigger chiddush is to say he was magdash it and then the father died. Why didn't he go along with Rabbi Meir and say that what? His father died and then he was magdash it? In both cases, he bought the field. If he bought the field, there's a svara to say you should go after value because it's a stay mikna. Says Rabbi Meir, if he was magdash it after his father died, it's a stay achuza. Said Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Shimon, a bigger chiddush. He was magdash it before the father died. It's a stay achuza. Why did they jump? In other words, why did they tafas them rubelay tafas that? He took the bigger chiddush. Says minalu. So how do they know that? So ime hakra, if it's the pasuk, right? Say the less of a chiddush. Say Rabbi Meir's case that he was magdash it, but after the father died. Who the asa? Elah mishum. It must be the azal basa pidyon. It must be you go after pidyon, and that's the kasha. Guys, that's the kasha. Okay, get outside kasha. We had a brisa. We brought the brisa in to prove what? That Reb Shimon and Reb Akiva don't hold the same thing. Now, in the analyzation of the brisa, we said the first part of the brisa goes according to Reb Shimon, that a person's magdash is ba'ayin ra. And Mamela, the trees weren't Kodesh. The second part of the Baisa, we're having trouble. What's the second part of the Baisa? That even though first he was Magdish the trees, and then he was Magdish the Karka, this is going to go after value, this is going to go after special formula. But according to Rav Shimon, that you go after Pidyon, it should be you go after special formula, because we don't care about the Hegdish. Where do you see you go after Pidyon? Where do you see you go after Pidyon? Because the fact that Rav Shimon holds, guys, the fact that Rav Shimon holds that if you buy a field from your father, you magdish the field in a state of stay mikna, your father dies, and then you paida, because you have to stay achuza. Why? Because you don't look at the time when he was magdish and his father was alive. You look at the time that he was paida and his father was dead. It's stay achuza. So if you go at the stay shas pidyon in the brisa that we've been on the Amid Aleph, you should go ahead and be paida the trees. I got the karka, because we go after shas pidyon. So on that, the Gemara answers, Amar Rav Nachman Yitzchak Lo'ilam Ba'alma Rabbi Yehuda Reb Shimon Lo Yazli Bas Opinion. They don't go after Bas Opinion. Really, they go after Shas Hegdish. V'hacha Kroash Kluvidarish. Now it's a special pasuk. Right? It's a special pasuk. So really, the Mishnah, the Brisa on the Amid Aleph is right. The reason why, if you take trees, magdish them, and then you magdish what? The karka, you're not going to go after them. Why? Because it's two different things. It's two totally different things. Not one has nothing to do with the other. Right? So why by over here that you're going after Shas Pidyon? It's nothing to do with that. It's because of the pasuk. Lichtay kra im estei miknasai asher lo yachuzasai. It should have said v'im estei miknasai asher lo yachuzasai. Inam you say stay achuzasai. My asher lo mistay achuzasai. Asher in ruya liyos stay achuza yatzazu sheruya liyos stay achuza. So pirish, guys, it's a special pasuk to tell me that you go after the pidyon, not because you go after pidyon, but the pasuk tells me that once it's right to be stay achusa, even though you were magdish it before as a stay mikna, it's still kodesh. So everything al stimmt. We got Rav Shimon is the tan of the whole brisa. He doesn't hold like Rabbi Akiva, and therefore Rav Huna. Therefore, we had to answer up. Therefore, we answered up our Mishnah. We said our Mishnah on the Amid Aleph that it's mashma. Rav Shimon says the trees are kodesh because the land's kodesh is not true. That's he's just talking to the Chachamim. According to him, the land is not kodesh because he holds magdish is ba'ayin raw, so he wasn't magdish the land, and therefore the tree's not. He was just going to the Chachamim who said everything's kodesh. He said there should be everything; it should only be the trees. And the Chachamim answered it's what it's matana, and therefore it's everything. And then answered up why it's not shver on Rabbi Yehuda and why Rabbi Kiva can even go like Rav Huna. Rav Huna, Charav Hamurki v'Sadan Hashikma. Okay, very easy. The Gemara is now it goes very easy. Rav Huna, Charav Hamurki v'Sadan Hashikma. These special trees, Taurus Elin Alav, Le'inyan one halacha they have a din of trees. The Taurus Karka Alav Le'inyan Acher, and regarding something else they're considered Karka. Taurus Elin Alav, the Heicha the Agdish Oizav and Shnei Lonis V'Hai. Let's say you Magdish 3 trees, guys, and then the karka comes along with it. Let's say you buy 3 trees, the karka comes along with it. Let's say one of those trees is a sycamore tree. What's the din? It has a din of a tree, and the karka would be kodesh. V'yesh le karka, and as a din of karka, the Taurus karka alav. What does that mean? If you go ahead and you sell your field, it's not part of what? It's considered karka. It's considered a sadid of neyatzmai, and it's not part of the sale, right? You said it's not part of the sale. So it's like a tree when it's bought with other trees, but when you go ahead and buy a field, it's not part of it because it's considered karka, not a tree. Even though all the other trees in the field are part of it. This because of its chashivas. You saw it. I sent out a picture of that sycamore tree. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. That tree is. You can understand why I sent that picture out. It was unbelievable how big that tree was. California redwood. It's huge. Let's say you have a sheaf, and it holds sasayim. It's very big because it has what? It holds sasayim, which is much more bit of the norm. Taurus Aimer love, one halacha that's a din of Aimer, the Taurus Kaddish love, and other halacha that's a din of a Kaddish. What halacha? Taurus Aimer love that what lenient that what? Shnei Aimrim shikha, 2 Aimrim ashnicha, right? And 3 are not. So Shnayim v'hu, if you have 2 in it, ain't a shikha. So in other words, the din of shikha for the matnas aniyim, 3 is not. This, even though it's bigger than regular aimer, it would not be shikha would not be because it would be 3. However, with Taurus Gadish alav, now by Gadish there is no din of shikha by a Gadish. With Taurus Gadish alav keded nan aimer sheish b'sasayim shechachai ain't shikha. If you left that alone, it has a din of a Gadish, and therefore if that was left alone, it would not b'yidin shikha. Rabbi Achana, says Rabbi Achana on Reish Lakish, Choriv hamurkiv b'sadin hashikma. You have these special trees. But machlokes Rav Nachum Yosi and Rav Yosi Rabbanon. Now, who is Rav Nachum Rav Yosi Rabbanon? I would say, I don't know who they are, but I know Rav Shimon and the Chacham had a machlokes. Rav Shimon said it's not part of the Hegdish, and the Chacham said it's part of the Hegdish, right? Mm-hmm. So on that, Gemara says, the lema machlokes Rav Shimon Rabbanon, Hal Kamashmalon, Rav Nachum Bar Yosi, Rav Shimon Svirale. Rav Nachum Bar Yosi holds like Rav Shimon. Now, guys, the next parak has some of the most obscure, mystical agaritas in Shas. Amacharas Asfina has really, for Rabbi Rochana, we end off Rabbi Rochana, and very, very mystical and very difficult agaritas. So we'll do the best we can. Thank you. I hope you held up. It was a challenge, yeah. Okay, I need to sit. I don't have a December 18th. December 18th. Shem is Mali Asaf. Elohim al dami lachal techrash vatishkarel. Ki hinei avechayem ayim esnach nasiraish. Al amcha yari musav yisatzu atzvanecha. Amru l'chu ben achidim yigai b'lei yisach Hashem yisolod. Ki nawatza leiv yaktav alecha b'istachraisu. Ahalei adnai mishmei limaya v'agrim. Givol v'amayim v'amalik paleshus miyashvei tzar. Gama shon nilva imam hoyis v'yalevim leitzela. Asay lehem ki midyon kisesach yavim and achal kishon. Nishmedu bein dar hoyidem el adama. She say my nidivei my karei v'chazei b'chazei samuno kol nisichei my. Asher amru nishalon eis nois elahim. Elohai shesei mechal kagal kakashef neruach. Keish tivayoch lavat lahedarim. Kain tidefein b'sarechu b'sfas chas v'aleim. Malay fnehem koloim v'vashu shemcha Adonai. Yevoshu v'yibalu adiyad v'yachru v'yavedu. V'yedu ki ato shemcha Adonai l'v'lecha yena kol haaretz. Achenu kol beis Yisrael hanesuna v'tzara v'shivya hom dim bein bayom v'bein bayabasha hamakom rachim aleim v'yetzim yitzarol v'chol ma'afelu li'ara v'mishiba l'gula hashta b'aglas makriv v'nei maramein.